Hello, and welcome to Unapologetically Me Mommyhood, where we are talking about all things motherhood and business. And we get right down to it because we want to support moms in being confident and authentic to who they are as a woman, business owner, and human. Yes, we are human. We may seem like we're super women, but we are human. And that our identity isn't tied to just being a mom because we're so much more. So we're here to guide women on the journey of running their home and their business through the eyes of other moms in business. So every week we're going to just be talking about being unapologetic and embrace all of who you are as a mom, a woman, and a human. You're good, you're bad, you're ugly, that mommyhood is super, super real. It's not all giggles and cuddles like you may see on the internet. Sometimes it hits the fan, literally, and you have those breakdown, ugly cries just like everybody else. So everything mommydom and business. And today we're going to be talking about the pelvic region, right? So everything you can do with a healthy pelvis. I mean, like, really? But no, we're not going there because everybody has one. So today we're going to find out how to take care of it properly. And coming in to help us do that, we have Dr. Latonya Mister, who is a doctor of physical therapy specializing in the pelvic floor. So let's go ahead and welcome her in.
Hey, hey. I'm
Hey,
good. How are
how
you?
are you? I'm doing fine. So let's talk a little bit about you, what it is that you do, who you are, why you do what you do. Tell the people a little bit about that before we get into
Gotcha,
the
gotcha. Well,
nitty
my name is Dr.
gritty.
Latonya Mister, as you mentioned, and I'm real laid back about it. So just call me Tanya. It's fine. Because in pelvic floor, you have to have that relationship, right? And that trust. So I'm actually from Kilmichael, Mississippi, a
Okay.
big city. Actually, it's kind of small, but it's my heart, right? And I attended undergrad school at Mississippi State University, and I went to physical therapy school at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and I graduated there in 2008. Military spouse, so we moved around a lot following my husband's career, and now we're here in Shreveport, Louisiana, where I opened up Sew and Reap Physical Therapy. I received my start in pelvic floor in Oklahoma City at OU Physicians, amazing clinic there. Yeah, we were stationed there for three years or something like
Oh,
that, 3 4 years. We moved around so much, I forget sometimes. And so I started there. I got 2 years of great experience there, working with some great providers. Just touched my heart to continue that. I didn't think pelvic floor physical therapy was where I was going to be in my career. I was always, very active as a younger girl. I was, basketball player, cheerleader. So I did all of that. So I always saw myself being a physical therapist, and I always saw myself going into sports medicine side, more of that, dealing with the athletes. And I don't know. It was too fast paced for me. I wanted more one on one. I finally received the opportunity to shadow a physical therapist who did pelvic floor work. I just called once we got to Oklahoma City and got settled. And I was like, well, I see y'all off pelvic floor. How can I come and shadow and see what you all do? And they said yes. I had 2 days to shadow them. And my first reaction was, I can't do that. Like, if I'm gonna be honest, I just didn't think I could do it. I remember I was speaking with my husband about it. And he was like, try it again, go back the next day. And then I went back, and it was the patients. They're hearing their testimonies, hearing them say, look, we need more people doing pelvic floor. We need more people helping us. And it touched my heart, and I took off with it. So I've been loving it ever since.
I love that. And I was just thinking about it. So, fun fact, I'm actually
Whoa,
from
cool.
Oklahoma. So when you said that you did it at Oklahoma City at OSU, and what's crazy is that I don't hear a lot of people talk about
Yeah.
Oklahoma. So or
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they've even been, you know. So when you just said that, I was like, hey, she's
that's
been to
right. And
my
I enjoyed it. Like I
hometown, you
still
know.
communicate with people up there. Like it was like home. So I love that feel. Like it still has that southern feel to it, even though it's a city. Yeah, slow pace.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So, what I do want you to talk about that you hadn't said
Okay.
yet is talk about
Okay,
sow and
so
reap.
Enrique,
What does it
so
mean?
an idea that God blessed me with in Alaska. We were stationed up there, and I was just like, it's time to make that move and to open up the practice. I only wanted to do pelvic floor. Like I wanted to open up a women's health because in Oklahoma City, that's all we saw. We saw women. So I was familiar with that, and I didn't want to have to learn business and a new treatment as far as like adding men to the system, right, to my program. So the word "so" came up because it
Mm,
means strength of a woman. I love that, and I made it an acronym. And actually, at first it wasn't. It was just going to be called Strength of a Woman Physical Therapy. And I found a business coach, amazing guy, and he
yeah,
was like, "Look, you're missing out on a lot of money by just doing pelvic floor. Add some orthopedic patients in there, but market the pelvic floor. That's your niche." And that's what I did. And but in order to do that, I didn't want to get rid of strength of a woman, right? So I just turned it into sow and added reap to that. You sow it, you plant it, and then
yeah,
you reap the benefits of it. So I'm planting that seed. Hey, get yourself healthy. Come here, let us help you, and
yeah.
then you reap the benefits of being in great health. So that's how it came up.
I love it. And I wanted you to say that, because we are talking to moms, and I often talk to the women about how powerful you are, and this notion that you can only, once you become a mom,
Yeah,
like that's all you can do is be a mom, not
there
realizing
it
that
is.
we did things before we were moms. Like we were powerful, strong then. We held things together then. And then after we were moms, we became like
That's
even
true.
more powerful, right? You know what I mean? So I really wanted you to talk about that. So talk a little bit about strength of a
Well,
woman.
pelvic
Why strength of
floor
a woman?
is a very sensitive topic, right? And a lot of ladies they come into that in our clinic feeling defeated. Especially those who are dealing with pelvic pain. It's a long process. It's a long process for some. And they feel defeated. And I use that word strength because I want them to know, look, you're still human. You're still here. You still have a purpose. You're going to get through this, and I'm here. We're going to work through it. We're going to figure it out. It may be trial and error, but the goal is, we're going to figure it out. What is really causing your pain? How can we help better resolve it? Which treatment path should we take? So that I love the word strength because of the way, like again, when I first meet a patient, I do the evaluation. A lot of there are times that ladies come in and they immediately start crying. And you know what I do? I have my notepad, I'm taking notes, I sit it down
Mm,
and I'm like, talk. And then they just talk. So the first visit may just be them just letting it out, like just crying it out. So, but that may be what they needed to get started, right? They're like, I just needed to process these emotions. I got somebody who's here and they are
mhm.
actually listening. And not only are they listening, but they understand and they're not judging. So that's why I just love Strength of a Woman. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. And I love that you
Yeah.
talked about, just giving them the space, right? Because a lot of times when you're having issues and issues that are very personal to you, even that you don't want to talk about out loud, that you always
Yeah.
feel like someone's going to judge you when you are ready to be
That's right.
open, and it takes you longer to get to that space. So let's talk about that a little bit. Does it take them a while before they
Ooh.
even show up in your office? Like how long does it usually take for them to say, okay, I need to go
Well,
get
it
help? Like
depends.
this
Like for those
is
who are
too
referred by a
much.
doctor, they usually come right in, right? Because their doctor have said, yes, you need this, so they usually come. But the ones who are self-referred, because Louisiana is a
Hmm.
direct access state, which means you do not have to have a doctor referral to go see a physical therapist. Um, those patients, I offer free 20-minute consult, right? They'll call, but sometimes it takes them a month or two to actually come in. They're still processing and still thinking about it. So sometimes with the
Hmm.
self-referred patient, it can take a little bit longer for them.
And so let's talk a
Okay.
little bit
Okay.
about the importance, right? because what do you use your pelvic area for aside from what everybody has in their head? You know what I mean? what what are the other reasons you use your pelvis? Like, why is
Well,
your
you're
pelvic
sitting on it
area
all
important?
day, every day. And if it's in pain or if something's wrong,
Okay.
all day, every day, right? It's the core. The
Okay.
core, you cannot function without a
Okay.
core. Okay. Your abs, pelvic floor, that whole region works together. The body is connected like a chain. And so it's just, you really can't do anything. I've had patients who, like, it was debilitating for them. They couldn't even had difficulty walking to the restroom, right? It's
Mm.
just, you can't function. You literally cannot function when you're having true pelvic pain. So, yeah. Now, pelvic pain and pelvic weakness are two totally different things. Pelvic weakness would be
All
something
right.
like I leak urine when I cough, flab, sneeze, things like that. That was a glitch. We still good? Okay, all right. And but then pelvic
Yep, we're
pain
here.
again,
We're
it
still
can be from
here.
true muscle spasm. It can be from post-op scar tissue. There's a lot of different reasons that you can have either pelvic pain or weakness, and it's not always related to childbirth. That's another thing, and it's not always older women either. A lot of people want to say, "Oh, you see a lot of old." No, no. Mm-mm. You can be a bodybuilder. You know, those women are prone to pelvic floor issues as well. So I mean,
Mm.
it just depends on their body type.
Okay. And so what she just said, everybody, is that when you are having pelvic issues, you will know because when you're sitting, you are using that area to sit
That's correct.
and it's
That's
connected to your core, you said. So you're going to know all out if you need it. So if you've been having an issue when you're sitting, when you're walking, and you don't know what it is, and you've been trying to figure it out, it may
exactly
be your pelvic floor. And you may need to see a pelvic floor physical therapist. And you may also need to go see your doctor in order to get a referral to see a pelvic floor physical therapist. And I'm gonna
okay.
keep saying pelvic floor physical therapist because we always hear about other types of physical therapy, but when do you ever hear about pelvic floor physical therapy? I know we had a conversation before and we talked about me, you, and some other women. We talked about the importance of getting pelvic floor physical therapy even
Correct.
before you're going in for birth, right?
Correct.
And it could help, right? Like it can help. Can you talk a little bit about that? How it can
Well,
help
so are they
before you
pregnant
go
at
in
this
to
point, or
give
this
birth?
is prior to pregnancy as well? Okay.
Prior to
Okay.
pregnancy
So prior
and
to
for women who
pregnancy,
are
well, you
pregnant.
want to make sure that your pelvic floor has proper coordination, proper strength, proper endurance. That's the thing. We do a pelvic examination, like when you go to see your gynecologist, right? We do that. We're checking for your muscle strength, your muscles endurance.
Mm-hmm.
Because the endurance that's the ability to get up and go to the restroom without leaking or having any pain or anything like that, right? And the strength, again, it stops us from leaking because
Mm-hmm.
we rate it on a scale of 1 to 5, 0 to 5, actually. And there are some patients who have a strength of 0, which means they have no control of their pelvic floor muscles. And so our goal would be for them to get to a strength of 4 or 5 so that they can function, right?
Mm-hmm.
So prior to pregnancy, you want to just have that examination done so you'll know, well, it'll help during delivery because you have more control. Because there are people who have muscle incoordination where, one side of it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. One side of the pelvic floor could be squeezing, the other one could be too relaxed. So you can have that muscle incoordination, yeah, in the pelvic floor. So
Oh, oh,
and that, can you imagine
okay.
trying to push out a baby and you don't even have proper coordination in your pelvic floor muscles? You're not even aware. There are people who don't even know how to bear down, like, to push. And so yeah, we did. Yes.
We talked about that. We talked
Yes.
about that. And that's when
Yeah.
you let us know about the pelvic floor physical therapy. So, ladies, I'm going to let Dr. Latonya Mister tell you the proper way to push because the doctors often tell you to do things that you don't normally do. And so, not
True.
understanding can do you some damage down there. I'm just going to tell you that, right? Because one thing that I told her,
Right.
and this is just open being we're talking about mommyhood. I don't care. I just talk
Yes.
about whatever's happening. You know what I mean? And one of the things that I told Latonya is that the doctor kept telling me to bear down like when you go poop. And I was like, what? Like, I don't bear down, right? And this might be too TMI, right? TMI. Maybe I should have said that ahead of time,
Right.
just in
Right.
case you want to plug your ears or something. You know what I'm saying? But I was saying, like, she kept saying, like, you were about to poop. And I'm like, look, you got to explain this a different way because I don't bear down when I go poop. Like, I don't think that is
Gotcha.
a normal thing, right? From what I know, that's not normal. And she kept saying it over and over. And I'm like, okay, if you're going to have to explain it to me a different way. And so
Hmm.
I want you
Hmm.
to explain this to the women who are thinking about getting pregnant, who are working on getting pregnant, who are pregnant right now, and they'll be going in to do this the proper
Okay.
way
So it's all
to
about
push.
breathing too. That matters, right? So it's very important to like there's diaphragmatic breathing that helps open up the rib cage and the abdomen, right? But this is you take an inhalation through the nose and exhale through your lips with your lips, pursed lip breathing. So exhaling, but you're really focusing on there's two areas. You can focus on the area right between the vagina and the anus and just let it flow that way. You do want the abdomen they have to work with it, the abdominal muscles. And so you will feel them contracting as well. So everything is just
Mm-hmm.
bearing down and going down. Nothing should be squeezing, nothing should be, your abdomen should be expanding, everything should be squeezing in and bearing down. So um, that's the best explanation that I have right now. When I do the examination, I check to make sure that they can.
Okay, so what
Okay.
should they feel in the pelvic area? I know you said between that area and the anus, but what should they be feeling so that when they do push down, if they're not
Gotcha.
familiar with
Okay.
how the pelvic muscles move, right? So maybe they don't work that area, maybe they don't know how to work that area.
A
What should they
relaxation,
be
like
feeling?
things are pushing. I know, right? See, and that's why it's good to see because with my patients, we do examine that. Can you? And you'll be surprised. Some people cannot bear down. I've seen that. Everything when I say bear down, they squeeze, and they think they're bearing down, but their muscles are squeezing. So
Hmm.
that's how we work with them. That's very important.
Oh, yeah.
So, um, gosh, what's a good term? I'm trying to think. Just going toward I really can't explain. It's like going toward the feet. Everything is just relaxing. Your hips should be relaxed. Your legs should be relaxed. The abdominal muscles should be, kind of relaxed. So it's just like a release. I really can't give you a term. I really can't. I'm so sorry. It's a release.
And she said a release, and I'm asking for you ladies because when I was being told this, I was like, look, if you
Yeah.
can't explain it to me
Yeah.
better, we might not be going anywhere right now. Like this may not be happening, because I couldn't get that explanation until
Mm,
finally I kind
okay.
of felt it, I felt it a little bit, and I
Mhm.
was like, okay, so I feel it happening versus the
Yeah.
explanation. So
If
that's
like
why I asked you kind of what should they
you're sitting
feel?
on your pelvic floor
What's
right
the
now. If
feeling
you
that they
bearing
get?
down, you will feel like the muscles are going towards the seat. It's going down. There's nothing is squeezing going up, like it's going down
Mm.
towards the seats, the muscles. And do you are you doing it? Because I just did it and yeah.
Okay.
And I feel the muscles just release.
So I'm like, ladies, if you're listening and you are hearing
Yeah,
what she is
try
saying out
it.
her mouth, go ahead and just try it
Try
right
it.
now. You know what I mean? Like try the motion and see what you feel. And I know that what do you think about Kegels? Because I know a lot of women practice that so that they
Yes.
could have some control, right? And I know that you talked about coordination, right? And I was like, there's two sides that you got to do. It's like I didn't know that you got to try both
Right.
sides. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was all just one.
Well,
So can you talk a little bit about
yeah.
the
So
Kegels
it is one
and what you
muscle.
think
It
about
really is.
Kegels?
But there have been, and I felt this myself, there are times when that one side of that muscle just does is not doing the same thing as the other, like left versus right. So first off, I want to say everyone shouldn't be doing the Kegel. Everyone should not be doing it. If you have pelvic pain, please stop squeezing, like
Okay.
please, because your muscles are already too tight. So you don't worry about Kegels. We need to worry about relaxing those muscles. Okay. Pelvic pain, again, if you're sitting there and your muscles are in pain, don't squeeze.
All
If you
right.
have painful intercourse, don't do Kegels. If you have anything related to pain in the pelvic area, no Kegels. Excuse me. A Kegel, we have something that we call a knack. And that's the biggest thing that I push with Kegels. And a knack means when you cough, sneeze, laugh, lift anything, you want to give it a squeeze, like squeeze the pelvic floor, right? Because that's what they're supposed to do
Okay.
when they have any type of extra stress on them, right? They're supposed to give a little contraction, hold everything in. So cough, sneeze, laugh, anything that's going to put pressure in the pelvic floor, you want to do Kegels. Um, I I wouldn't suggest walking around doing Kegels all day every day, right? Okay, think about the pelvic floor muscles like this.
Okay.
Your bicep. I'm trying to get in shape, right? I'm trying to get my biceps in shape. I am not going to walk around with a dumbbell all day doing this, am I? No, because
Okay.
it's not right. So it's the same thing with the pelvic
No,
floor. We're
no,
going to treat them
ma'am.
like any other muscle of the body. We're not going to walk around squeezing all day. Don't do that because then you can end up being a pelvic pain patient,
Okay.
right? Because you trained your muscles to be tight all the time and it's too tight. So
Okay.
that's why I always say if you just go in and get one evaluation, there are patients we just see one time. They just want to know, am I doing this correctly? And we can get their strength, we can get their endurance, we can get everything we need, and then set up an exercise program around that score that we receive based on their muscles, right? Not based on anybody else's. Because my Kegel number may be different than yours. I may need to do more or less than you. So it depends on that evaluation.
All right. All right. So you heard that straight from the doctor's mouth. Don't be out here working your pelvic muscles more than
Correct.
you would work any other muscle, right? Because too much working the muscle can cause damage, just
Correct.
like with anything else. And I'm saying this very calmly to make sure you understand
Correct.
and hear me. That you should not be walking around
No,
doing Kegels all
no,
day trying to get it tight. You don't want to be over tight and then be in pain and be at the
there
physical
it is.
therapist trying
There
to
it
get
is.
help
It's
for
that simple. It really is.
it. All right. So we have really been talking a little bit about the pelvic floor and the things that you need it for, right? So we did talk about you sit on it all day, like when you're sitting down. And I didn't know that. So that is some enlightenment. So you are sitting, if you're sitting down, you're
Yeah,
using your pelvic
yeah,
floor right now. You're using it right now to sit down. So that's very important. If you want to sit down,
that's right.
you need
Yeah,
it, right? Okay, so we found out that you definitely
that's
needed to
correct.
sit. All right, so as we've been talking, so we do move a little bit into a little behind mommyhood
Okay.
behind the scenes, right? And so let's just talk a little bit about that mommyhood. How many children? How old? And just tell us a little bit about that type of life and the behind. Give us a little behind the scenes. Give us
Got
something,
it. Oh wow,
something a
little
little
juicy.
juicy,
Wow.
something.
Well, behind the scenes, if you hear that door opening, I'm trying to stay calm. That's my 6-year-old. You know, that's the one who. Yeah, that's he tests daily.
Okay.
Daily, he tests me daily. But he's my little shadow too. Like he's always, mama's boy. So he's always under me, but he's always testing me. And then I have a
Okay.
12-year-old daughter, and she's more of a quiet, laid back, just more private, keep to herself. So yeah, I always tell her keep your door open because you're too quiet. Uh, she's that preteen age. So no, we're not close. That's
You're
right.
like, you got to make some noise in there.
That's right.
Ring a
And
bell, do
she's in
something.
band. So I'm that band mom now, and we actually have something Monday that I'm volunteering for her first football game that she's gonna play in. So excited about that. So that's about it. Like I was a mom, a
That is
housewife and a mom
exciting.
for 3 years prior to moving here. So the whole time we was in Anchorage, Alaska, I was a stay at home mom and wife, and it's different.
Tell us your stay-at-home mom something funny. Just tell us something funny that's happened being a stay-at-home mom. You know, we go through a lot, right? Things happen all the time, and you're like, what in the world? How did that happen?
Actually,
Give us
the
one of
when you
those
said
stories.
that, the first thing that popped up was we were in Anchorage, and that 7 point something earthquake came through. We were there when that happened, and yeah, I was getting my daughter ready for school. I was actually cooking breakfast, and my son was upstairs. He had gotten in bed with us that night, and yeah, we were there during that. And the funniest part, it may not be funny to others, but it's funny to me because I laugh at myself all the time, was after I got the kids safe, right? We were downstairs, lights out. The floor is literally making the wave motion because the earthquake lasts for over a minute. And my daughter, she's visibly shaking, like she was just crying and shaking. I was scared. I'm holding my son, who's asleep, by the way, dead sleep. I think he was a little bit over a year. Yeah, he was knocked out. He was like, I'm
Sleep.
good, right? And so I'm holding him, and I'm looking at, yeah, right.
Okay.
And I'm looking at
Sleeping through the
my daughter.
earthquake.
She's crying and shaking, and everything in me is like, calm her down. But I couldn't talk because I didn't realize that I couldn't breathe. So I'm standing there hyperventilating. And again, I'm laughing, and the reason I'm laughing because once it was
What?
over with, we were having dinner. We were sitting at the table, and I was like, "Naila, how are you doing?" And she was like, all I remember is you going, and I'm like, oh, it's so true. I Yeah,
So
yeah.
you didn't
I did
realize
not.
it was
I just went to
happening.
talk. I tried to talk, and next thing I know, I couldn't breathe, and I'm like, "What is this?" Like, and again, some people might think I think it's funny, but again, I laugh at myself all the time. That
Yeah. Because your whole thing was your worry for them, right? So you didn't even realize
that's right.
that you
That's
you
right.
needed to worry about yourself in that moment either. See, our first thought. See, that's what I'm
Yes.
talking about. That is that
Yes.
mommyhood, right? So that's cool. Um, okay, so moving back now
Okay.
to the pelvic floor. We talked about one reason that you need your pelvic floor.
Oh,
So give us another reason. So we talked about needing it to sit. What other good reasons to
a
take
very,
care of your pelvic
very
floor?
good reason
Another reason
is
you
in order
need it.
to urinate, defecate, and have intercourse. All three of those systems are there. You have your urinary system, your reproductive system, and your digestive system. They're all there. And if your pelvic floor muscles are not functioning properly, all three will be affected. All three, and both men and women, by the way. I've just started treating men. I'm not ready to talk about that because this is mommy, but men and women. Yes, we men have pelvic floor too, pelvic floors too. So yeah, yep, yep, that's
Yeah, we all have one, right? And you say you
it.
need it
Yes.
for everything down there. That's you just named everything. So if your pelvic floor has gone awry, then you're not going
Correct.
to be able to do
Correct.
anything
Correct.
properly.
Yep. And I mean, your pelvic floor can be
Wow. Okay. So this is really some enlightenment because I'm like, okay, your pelvic floor, it's not working, but you'll be fine. You just need to go in, right? But you just said it's going to affect walking, sitting, urinating, defecating. And
yeah,
then of course you said like if you're like one if you want to have a baby, right?
yeah,
But like
correct.
that's
That's
everything
correct.
down there. Like you
Yep.
can't
It's
do
that serious.
anything. So how are people out here living through the pain if you can't do anything? Because the things you just named to me, I'm like,
They
those are
are.
very important things. So what are they doing
They're
out here?
not.
Like how are
And
they
that's the point.
functioning?
Like I kid you not, here in Shreveport, I was networking with a doctor's office. And I was talking to one of the nurses, and she says, we have a lot of ladies who come in here saying they have pain. And I'm like, okay. She's like, we've done tests, we do this, we've done everything we can do. We've given a medication, nothing seemed to work. And I was like, send those patients to me because it may be pelvic floor, muscle, or alignment. Because sometimes the pelvis, it's bones. They have there's joints in the pelvis,
Mm.
right? There's the pubic symphysis in the front, and there are two joints at the back. They can be out of alignment. So it could be as simple as that. It could be from the hip. A lady, if they have hip injuries, there's muscles in the hip that are connected to the pelvic floor. Obturator internus being one of those. And if that muscle is out of alignment or spasm, then it can cause pelvic pain as well. So we have to find out what's causing it. And some pelvic pain can be, and this is your area, mental, right? Like they have a history of sexual abuse. They've had, some type of trauma. And it's just that cycle that they keep repeating. And now they're holding that tension in their pelvic floor. So we just have to figure out what's causing it. If it's not coming from alignment, if it's not coming from the hip or the back, it can come from the back as well. Then and we find the muscle spasm because we actually can feel it. It's pretty interesting. You know how you have a Charlie horse or a muscle spasm in your calf? You can feel it in the pelvic floor. It just doesn't feel normal. So yeah.
And then you just mentioned the back. Now we're talking about a whole nother area. So the
Yes, there
back
are
can
nerves
affect
that
the
come out
pelvic
of the
area
back.
as well.
The spinal cord nerves come out and they innervate every part of the body, right? They go down to the fingertips, to the toes. So if there's certain segments of the spine that are affected, it can affect the pelvic floor as well. It's that specific. It's that detailed. Yeah, and it's usually the lumbar
All
spine.
right. It is because I'm like, man, you got to take
Yeah.
care of everything around that area because from what you're saying, it's like everything's connected. If something
Yep.
go wrong with one, something can go wrong with
Yeah.
the other. I'm like, this is some
It is, and
education right here, right? Some
and we don't talk about it, and
education.
that's why some people are so. And there are providers. There are providers who don't know,
Yes.
and that I'm telling you, that's part of my mission here. I knew it before I got here. I prayed on that. I was like, I know I'm going to have to do a lot of marketing with pelvic floor because it's so, misunderstood, and no one talks about it. So, yeah,
Yeah. And what's crazy is that before I met you, I
yeah,
didn't know, right? And so when you were talking about it, I was like, this could have been something really great to add to my plan
oh yeah,
before I gave birth, right? Like that was something else that I could have been
oh
going
yeah,
to that could
right.
have been very helpful, right? But I didn't know about it. Nobody suggested it. Out of all the
Nope,
doctors
they
I
would
was
not. That's
seeing,
right.
no one said anything, right? So, from what you're saying, it could definitely help before pregnancy, during
After.
pregnancy, and let's talk about after because
Oh,
definitely
definitely.
it can help
Yes. Because
after,
again, it
right?
depends on the type of labor, whether it's a C section versus a vaginal delivery, right? How long was your labor? Did you
Mm-hmm.
tear? Like, what? It's just, we get very detailed. We get very detailed. What happened during your labor, and your delivery. So
Yeah.
all of that matters because the pelvic floor, it is stretched paper thin when you're delivering a child. And so those muscles have to return. And so I cannot remember
Okay.
where I read it, but there is a country that after you deliver a child, they give you um free, well, not free, I won't say, they require that the mother goes see a pelvic floor physical therapist. That's a part of their treatment plan. And I'm not saying it's free, but I'm just saying it's a part of their treatment plan. We don't do that. Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's a great part of the treatment plan, though, because again, they don't tell you anything. They tell you
Yes.
go home, no sex for 6 weeks, ice,
Yes.
keep the area sanitized and clean, right? They don't tell you go see a pelvic floor physical therapist. They can help you, get it back the way,
Well, as
I
close
won't
as
say
we
back the
can.
way it was, but
Right,
probably,
right.
like, because you guys are the experts, right?
No,
Like, they don't say that. They don't tell you anything, But what I just said, like that's the norm, right? Those
right.
four or five things, that's the norm. Go home,
Yeah.
take care of it,
Yes, yes.
don't use it, right?
And and
Don't
even though
use
with
it
that country,
and just
they
wait,
they
right?
do have to be cleared by the doctor before they're actually go see the pelvic physical therapist. So, but yeah, I do think that that's what we should do. Like, just allow us to make sure that the muscles are functioning properly after the delivery. That's it. And it could be one visit. It could be, hey, you're fine. Your muscles are, you have coordination. Everything's working fine. Your endurance is good. All right. Continue what you're doing. Give you some exercises to work on. And that's it. That is it.
That was the next question I was going to ask. Can you give
Oh,
them like one thing that they can do at home? Not if you have pain, because she did say if you have pain, you should not be working your pelvic floor
exactly.
muscles if you have pain,
Exactly.
because that can just make it worse. So if you have no pain, but you want to work those muscles, give us one thing that you can do at home.
My
Pretty
go-to again
simple,
is the
pretty
neck.
easy.
Coughing, sneezing, laughing, anytime or lifting. Make sure you squeeze and hold until you're in an upright position, right? Especially if you're lifting something. You want to, okay, squeeze, lift, stand, right? Because you want to help have control of the pelvic floor muscles. Coughing, sneezing, laughing, that's that stress incontinence. And a lot of people leak with that, when the stress is put on the pelvic floor muscles. So anytime, especially if you leak a little bit, even if it's just a little small amount, if you feel yourself about to cough or laugh or sneeze, it's a hard laugh too, right? You just squeeze, like I'm doing it now, squeeze and, and cough. And that's an exercise in itself too. Squeeze, cough. Now, I'm going to have you do it, Kamisha. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, first I was
Okay.
going to tell you to tell them what are they
Right.
squeezing, because you're just
You're
saying
squeezing,
squeeze. What are they
let's see,
squeezing?
not the hips, not the thighs. It's a true Okay, so you're sitting on your pelvic floor. You should feel, instead of things moving down towards the seat, you should feel everything moving up, right? So squeeze, but don't squeeze the thighs and don't squeeze your hips.
Oh, okay. So if you're watching right now, or even watching the recording, what I want you to do right now is take the time, because Dr. Latonya Mister is about to show us how to work our pelvic floor muscles, right? So I want you guys to sit down so that you can feel the pelvic floor muscle as you're sitting in the chair. You can feel it,
Right.
because I can feel it now that she's
Yes.
mentioned it. I can feel it. Before I was not
Right.
thinking about it, but
Right.
now I can. Right. So it's going to be on my
But
mind
don't
every
do it
time I
too
sit
much,
down
right? Don't
now.
do it too much.
Okay. Now she's going to take us through this, right?
Right.
Nope, nope, not too much. So she's going to take us through this right now. So she's going to tell us what to do. So come
Okay.
on,
So
let's.
again, you're seated. So that's being the fact that you're sitting means you have some feedback, right? You can kind of feel it more. So you're going to squeeze again. You will feel the lower abdomen suck in and up as well. So you're going to feel your pelvic floor squeeze. You're going to feel the lower abdomen go in and up, nothing pushing down. And a good exercise is to cough. After you cough, let it release. Did you feel it release? If
Okay.
you don't feel it release, that means that the muscle.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was weird. It was weird because I'm thinking about it, so you can
Right.
actually
Right.
feel
Right. 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 Right.
everything. So let's take
Okay.
us through it again.
So
Let's take us through it
you
again.
are
Let's
going
let's
to
do it again,
again
everybody.
keep the
Let's do it
hips and
again.
the thighs
Okay.
relaxed. The abdomen is going to suck in and up. You don't have to do the abdomen, it's going to do it
Relax.
on its
Okay.
own. So you're going to squeeze, hold, cough, and then relax. And you should feel it release. You should feel it release. If you don't feel it
Hmm.
release, come see me.
Interesting. Okay, so if you don't feel the release, she said you need to come see her, and her information will be
Right.
in the comments, right? Um, in the
Okay.
description. So I have a question, right? You said cough. What are the other ones
Cough,
you can do for
laugh,
this exercise? Cough.
sneeze.
I'll write these down so I can put it in the description. Cough,
Uh-huh.
laugh,
And if you're going to
sneeze.
do any type of heavy lifting, you just want to, give it a squeeze to help hold everything in. But don't, once you're upright from the lift, you can release.
And
Mhm.
anytime you lift.
Yes.
So, and when you lift, right? So cough,
Correct.
laugh, sneeze, and when you lift. All right, that's cool. That's cool. So we
Okay.
do have a question.
Okay.
Let's see.
Yes.
Can you see the question? So can weight loss or weight gain affect my pelvic? She rides her bike for cardio exercise. So should she be concerned with the seat
Ah,
affecting
good
her pelvic
question. So
area?
the first one, can weight loss and weight gain? Weight gain can. And the reason weight gain can is it's putting excessive pressure on the pelvic floor. And it depends on where the weight gain is, especially if it's in the abdomen. You know, if you're putting a lot of weight there, that's going to put that extra pressure on the pelvic floor, and it can weaken the pelvic floor. So one of the ways to help with pelvic control and to strengthen it is to lose weight. Weight loss shouldn't affect it. It shouldn't affect it. And you ride your bike. So we do have a nerve in the pelvic floor. So yes, your bike should have. You should go to someone who does fittings for them and make sure that your posture is right and correct on a bike, because we do have something called the pudendal nerve that's in the pelvic floor area. And again, we sit on our pelvic on the bike, and if you're out of alignment, you could be pinching that nerve. So you really want to make sure that you're properly aligned while you're riding a bike, and that goes for men and women. So
Okay, so if she is doing cardio on her bike, then she should go get
correct,
a properly fitted seat so that it
correct.
doesn't affect her pelvic area. That sounds good because I had a lot of issues when I would bike around the neighborhood. I
Mhm.
had to keep changing my seat. It was very uncomfortable,
That's
and
right.
now I
There,
know
we have
why.
nerves everywhere.
The
Yeah,
seat was
yeah.
very
So good
uncomfortable.
question.
All right. So definitely get your seat, if you can
Mhm.
on your bike, get your seat fitted.
It was
So that was a really good question. All right. So we have reached the segments. I have
okay.
more
Okay.
segments. So we've been through a lot of good information, right? So this segment and part of the podcast is
Okay.
called Tools and Tips, right? So it's where I give a tool for our
Okay.
moms who are entrepreneurs, right? And then the
Okay.
experts that is on gets to give a tip. So I told you a little bit in advance to give you time to get it together because usually I just spring it on you now. Give us a
Okay.
tip. Now, you can give me your tip
Okay.
really quick, and I'm going to go ahead and give a tool. So this week's tool that I've been using, and it has been giving me a lot of life and honing it in for me, because a lot of times when we're using this tool, that tool, this tool, that tool, this tool, that tool, we're like all over the place already as moms and business owners. I won't say we're all over the place, but we
Right.
have a lot on our minds, right? And I feel like having to log into this and that and this and that and then connect all these different things drives
Gotcha.
me insane.
Gotcha.
It drives me insane. So one of the tools that I began using that's really amazing is a new system out
Okay.
called Funnel Streams. And with Funnel Streams, it's a true all in one where you have your website builder, your funnel builder, your schedule, your
Okay.
everything. I want to say everything, your mail system, your text system, everything is truly all in one. And I've been using it and I've been loving it because I haven't had to go out and connect all of these different things together because it's all there in one system and it links together very well. Why? Because everything's in one system. So it
Nice.
works together automatically, right? So that is the tool for this week. It has much more, but I can't list it off the top of
Okay.
my head because it's a really long list, but it will be linked in the description. I will link it in the description. So now it is time for the tip from the experts. You had a chance to think about it. What's your tip?
Does it have to be some type of technology tip or any type of tip?
No,
Oh, pelvic
this
floor
is
tip. Gotcha.
the pelvic floor.
Wow.
This is
Pelvic
your
floor tip.
expertise tip.
Oh, okay. I
I
was
wouldn't
about to
do
say,
that.
'cause you said
I wouldn't
entrepreneur. I
do
was like,
that
okay,
to
so we're
you.
talking business.
It's for
Gotcha. A
everybody.
pelvic floor tip. Um, if you know something's wrong, don't stop there, right? Like, because there are some, again, you said, what are those patients who are having pain? What are they doing? They're sitting at home in pain. So if reach out. Even if you just call a regular physical therapy office, they may know a pelvic floor physical therapist to refer you to, or they may have one on staff. But just don't give up just because your doctor didn't recommend a referral, or if something's wrong, look into it. Get a second opinion, get a third opinion if you need. Just don't sit there in pain. Like, it's unnecessary, and there is help somewhere. Somebody has the answer somewhere when it comes to your health. Trust. So.
I like that tip because and I know it may be
Yeah.
hard. You may feel embarrassed. You may feel like no one's listening. You may feel all these different things. And especially as women, like, we have the tendency to, if we hadn't gotten that answer, to, I won't say
Mm,
give up,
yeah.
but to brush it off, right? Because you're like, they keep
True.
telling us nothing is wrong, right? Or they don't know, and they don't say they don't know. Like, then they're just telling you, well, everything's normal. Something's not normal if you're in pain. So the tip was to reach out, to keep
Yeah.
going. Don't just sit there in pain. Like, keep persevering, keep going to find what you need. And if you have pain in that area, you're having trouble urinating, defecating, walking, um, any of those things, because she said sitting down, if you're having troubles with any of that, it could be your pelvic floor, and you should be reaching out to a pelvic floor physical therapist like Dr.
That's right.
Latonya
That's right. And even if
Mister.
you're not in Shreveport, you can call, offer
So,
a free 20-minute consult. I'm willing to, just listen and see. Well, yes, you may need pelvic floor PTs. Even if you're not in this state, the American Physical Therapy Association has a directory on their section on pelvic health. So if you go type in section on pelvic health, APTA, they have a directory of providers, pelvic floor providers, and you can find one in your area, or call me. I don't mind helping you find one. So it's that serious.
all right, all right. So definitely reach out. Like I said, her information will be in the description, and you'll be able to reach. She said a free 20-minute consult. Come on, if you have questions. She's saying, look, here's a physical therapist right here that specializes in the pelvic floor. If you're having these
That's right.
issues, set up a consult. See, there's the link right there. Go ahead and set up a consult. So, moving to
Okay.
more talk about the pelvic floor. So, I intentionally skipped this when I
I
listed the
noticed that.
problems, because we're about to talk about it right now. So,
I do.
one of the things that I wanted to talk about, that some people might be going ahead and suffering through right now, right? One of the things they
That's
might
right.
be suffering through is sex, right? They don't know why they're having pain. They might cringe at the thought of sex. They don't say
Mm-hmm.
anything. They just
Mm-hmm.
go through with it because,
That's right.
hey, their partner wants to have sex, but they don't know why they're having pain. And then maybe they don't want to speak up. Maybe it's awkward when they go to the doctor. Maybe
Right.
they talk to their OBGYN, right? Maybe they're talk to their PT, right? I
Yes.
mean, their personal doctor, right? They talk to them
Right.
and they
Right.
didn't have an answer. So
All
let's
right.
talk a
That
little bit
is
about that
that
really
to
quick.
me. It when I first started pelvic floor PT or pelvic health, they've actually changed the name to pelvic health. So, but I'm still saying pelvic floor because, again, I got to retrain my mind to keep up. But that's the part that I enjoy treating, because pelvic pain, and I do put them in that category of pelvic pain. It can be truly from muscle spasms. I've had patients, they've had the examination, they had the PAPs, they've had everything, and nothing's showing up. Their partners, oh, you must be cheating. Like, because you don't want to be intimate with me. Like, you hear everything. I hear quite a few stories, right? And then I do an exam, and I can feel where their pain is. It is real. Pelvic floor muscle spasms are real. And if those muscles are tight,
Mm,
then number one, orgasming will hurt, right? Because an orgasm is a contraction of the pelvic floor. So it's really going to hurt. And even insertion will hurt. So because the muscles are not, they're not relaxing enough to
mm,
allow anything to enter. So I just say in the beginning, it may start out like for most, not all. Well, it's a little, it's first time, maybe I was nervous, but if it continues and you're comfortable with your partner, then that could be a sign that something else is wrong, right? So go, and I add, actually, Kamisha, we talked
Mm.
about this too, yoni steaming. I am getting really good results with the steaming and the pelvic floor techniques together when it comes to painful intercourse. The medical term for that is
Mm.
dyspareunia, right? That's just mean any type of touch. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be insertion. It can be just the thought of them touching externally. It's been that bad. I had a patient where her partner couldn't touch anywhere in that area externally without her having pain. And of course, with pelvic pain with intercourse, there is a mental component to that too, because the first time, again, you're like just brushing it off, like maybe it was nerves, but as the pain continued, now comes the anxiety with it. So there are
Mm.
times that even after we relax the muscles, everything's fine. I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, and your goal, because I do make it a goal. Like I get deep and I get personal with my patients. I'm like, look, your goal is to have intercourse 2 times. Tell me what it was like. If you had pain, try to find out where it is. But if there's no pain, have fun, right? And so when they come back, if they've had pain, no
Mhm.
pain for those 2 times, then you're good. Discharge them. I give them some techniques to continue, and it's really stretching. You don't want to do any kegels. You want to relax. You want to relax. And again, this one is hard to treat because patients are trying to figure out, how do I talk about this? How do who do I talk to this about? I'm trying to talk
Mm.
to my partner and I'm gonna go heterosexual. I'm trying to talk to my partner, but he doesn't understand. So who do I talk to? Right? You talk to your doctor, they don't understand it. But then they come in and either they're out of alignment, pelvic alignment, the bones, or they have true muscle spasms. And listen, it is a real thing. And so I stretch their pelvic floor for them. And if they have a partner that wants to be involved, I bring them in. I show them how to stretch the pelvic floor. And I'm like, look, that could be a part. I don't know how deep you want me to get, Kamisha, because because pelvic floor
Oh
is,
no, like
is
this
what
is great
it is.
information. Like this is good. I want you to go as
Right.
deep as needed so that
Right.
people understand and that people are comfortable with approaching the situation because definitely when you said they have a hard time talking to their partner, their doctor doesn't know, doesn't understand. And then one of the key things that you said is that
Yes.
sometimes it can be mental, right? But maybe it
Oh,
started
it is.
out physical and it got worse because as it's hurting and they're in pain from physical touch or anything that's physical, now it's becoming mental and it's going
That's
to
right.
get worse because
That's right.
now you're tensing up and you're
That's right.
squeezing when you shouldn't be
That is
because
correct.
that's going to make the pain worse, right? So even at the thought, right? Because you're like
Hmm.
sending a signal to the brain, right? Because you're thinking about it. Oh, that this person may be
Right.
wanting to have sex soon. I don't want to because I'm going to be in pain. So now it's a thought, and you're going to be
That's right.
tensing
That's
up
right.
even beforehand. So you said a lot of good stuff. I didn't interrupt you because
Right.
I'm like, people need this information because definitely, if you're going through these things, you
That's
need
right.
to be able to get help, right? And you don't know where to get help from, and that's why this conversation is so important because again people don't know much,
Right.
or a lot of people don't know that a pelvic
Exactly.
floor physical
Exactly.
therapist
And then women,
exists,
we
right?
expect men. I'm again heterosexual. We're expecting them to know what we feel. So communication is key, and he doesn't have a vagina. So no, he doesn't know what you
Mm,
feel and where your pain is. Like, okay, so again, if he's up for it, bring him in. And I do.
yeah.
I demonstrate and then I let him demonstrate. And then I'm like, look, make that a part of your foreplay. Go ahead, make it. So because if she's not relaxed, if she's not aroused and she's already having pain, I mean, it's just going to make it worse, right? Because a foreplay and arousal is very important for us because then we get
Mm.
what we need, our body lubricated. We get everything that we need to be able to accept our partner. And if we don't have that, just that alone, you're already setting a pain. And so I also tell them to lubrication during that time is very important. Even if they're like, well, I get lubricate. Yeah, go ahead and use it anyway until, things start relaxing. And then if you want to get away from the lubrication, that's on you. But during treatment, while you're still having pain, let's use lubrication. Stay away from KY jelly. I hope I don't get sued for that. I'm just saying. Stay away from KY. No. No.
No, don't go with it if that's going to be
Right.
something that's going to make it worse. We don't want to go with it. So we do have another question. I wanted to bring it back up. So a question about
Okay.
who you should see. So under what circumstances should a person request to see a pelvic floor physical therapist
Okay.
instead
So
of the
traditional
traditional
PTs,
PT?
they don't have the additional training that a pelvic floor PT has. So pelvic health is taught outside. Some schools are starting to bring it up and talk about it more. But when I was in school, we got probably a day or two, maybe a week of pelvic health. That was it. Like that was the only training that we had, and it was real brief, right? So that training comes from additional continuing education courses. We take those courses, and I always tell my ladies this, my ladies for right
Mm-hmm.
now, because until I start treating men, everything that I do to my patients, I've had done on me. That's how we train as PTs. We have a lab, and everybody's just training and learning together, right? That way, we'll know what our patients are experiencing, and we'll know what normal
Mm-hmm.
is. So, if they haven't had the additional coursework, uh, they probably won't be able to do a full examination and find out the true cause of your pain. So that's when you want to see a pelvic floor physical therapist.
Okay, so should they start with their doctor or should they just seek out the information? Because if they don't know, what are some things they should look for in order to know if they should be going to the regular physical
Oh, I
therapist
see.
or
I
if
see.
they should be
Now,
seeking out a pelvic floor physical
a
therapist? What are
pelvic
some
floor,
things they
most
should look
pelvic floor
for?
physical therapists can will still do orthopedics like hips, knees, because I have some orthopedic patients too. I have patients where I'm not treating their pelvic floor at all. They come to me for back pain and I treat them for that. They come to me with shoulder pain and I treat them for that. So a pelvic floor or pelvic health therapist can treat
Hmm.
what a regular physical therapist can treat. We just offer that extra niche of pelvic health. So you can call even if we're still PTs. I guess if I'm answering this correctly. So we can still do general PT. If you want to
Okay.
go and call a pelvic floor PT and you say, "Hey, my shoulder hurt. Can you treat me?" They'll probably say yes if they still treat orthopedic conditions. If you call me and say, "I have shoulder pain. Can you help me?" I'm going to say yes. So right now, my clients are about 50-50, 50 orthopedic and 50 pelvic floor. So
So from what I'm hearing, that you can go to a pelvic floor physical therapist and they'll be able to treat everything. But if you go to a regular physical therapist and then you have pelvic floor issues, you're going to have
that's
to go see a
correct.
pelvic floor physical therapist
Correct.
as
Yes.
well.
Yes. That's
Right?
correct.
Yeah. So that's what I just heard. So you might as well, you might as well go see a pelvic floor physical therapist right now. I'm just kidding. But no, for real though, like if they could treat all parts, right? And then a physical therapist treats something special, I mean something specific, then that's different, because a lot of
Mm,
times I do seek out the specialist, right? So I go see the specialist for
mm.
whatever I have going on because I get tired of going to
Yep.
one person and have to go to somebody else and go to somebody else. So if my shoulder hurt, guess what? I'm gonna
Gotcha.
find somebody who specializes in
Wonderful.
shoulders. If my knee hurt, I'm gonna find somebody specializing in knees. And I do it all the time because I got used to um, seeking out the specialist because every time I would go to the doctor, they would tell me nothing is wrong or they can't find anything or everything's normal. But if something is wrong and it keeps happening and you're telling me everything is normal, something's wrong with you, right? So I just, I just started looking for a specialist for everything because I got tired of people telling me that everything is normal, nothing's wrong, but I
Gotcha.
can feel
Gotcha.
that something's
Yeah.
wrong, right? So yeah,
Right.
we have to do that, right? So again, we've been talking to Dr. Latonya Mister of Sew and Reap Physical Therapy, which is
That's
what
right.
strength of a woman, right? I want to put that out there because I think that is so important and it is right on topic. And we've been talking about the a healthy pelvic floor, right? We've been talking about the things you can look for. We talked about some exercises. We talked about what you need it for. I just found out you pretty much need it for everything. Like you need it for everything that's normal. I don't know if that
True.
makes
That's
sense,
true.
but you do. You need it for everything that's normal and
Right.
that you do daily, right? Like you have to walk, right? You need it
Right.
to walk. So if you're having trouble walking, if you're having trouble sitting, if you're having trouble urinating, defecating, if you're having trouble with sex and you're having pain, like you may need a pelvic floor physical therapist. You may need them for everything. I'm just
That's
saying.
right.
Like so many so many things on that list that you may just need them for it all. So just go and see them. And you can give Dr. Latonya Mister a call by setting up a consultation. She has a free 20-minute consultation where she is going to be able to talk to you and give you the best advice on where you should move forward. So if you have more questions, her information will be in the description where you can grab it. And what I want you to do right now is tell everybody where they can find you, your website, where they can find you on social media. So if they can go ahead and set them up
Okay.
a
So,
consultation if they
well, we're
need it.
located at, if you're local, Shreveport. We're 915 Olive Street, and that's in Shreveport. Our number is 318-553-5022. And Facebook, oh Lord, I'm horrible with social media. So on Facebook, I think it's So and Reap Physical Therapy LLC. Like I think. Hold on, you got me bringing up my things. So yes, on Facebook it's So and Reap Physical Therapy. On Instagram, it is hold on, see, So and Read Physical Therapy again. On Twitter, it is, I think it's just So Therapy on Twitter. And our website is www.sowandreapt.com. That's SOWANDREAPPT.com.
All right. And she just told you everywhere. You can find her online at Soul and Reap Physical Therapy. And I did put it on the screen just in case you didn't understand what we were saying.
Yeah.
So for everyone who's visual, Soul and Reap Physical Therapy, she is a pelvic floor physical therapist. That's what she specializes in, but she does do what
Orthopedic. Orthopedic.
occupational therapy, right? You said occupational physical therapy as well. So she
Yeah.
does the
The
regular physical
orthopedic, not
therapy as well if you
occupational.
need
That's
it.
different.
And you can find her on
Ortho-
social media.
it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So
Yeah.
okay, it's different. It's different. No, so you can find her everywhere at Sow and Reap, and um, she is going to be offering a consultation if you need it. So make sure you set up your consult. Now, this has been very fun talking to you about the pelvic floor, and we did joke some, but it's very important. A lot of times, as women, right, and as moms, when we are looking to be a mom, when we are in the process of pregnancy, and then after, we don't get told that
Mhm.
there is a person such as yourself that can help us along the way to make sure we
Right.
are where we need to be throughout that entire process. So I
It
thank you for
was.
coming on. It was a fun conversation, and you definitely know what you're talking about. That's why I love talking to you about it. Um, and I do, as we're leaving today, I know you mentioned before and you brought this up while we were talking. And I just want you to let people know because you did say that if you're having any type of pain, you shouldn't be working your pelvic floor. You shouldn't
Right.
be doing Kegels. You shouldn't be doing anything like that. But you also told me, like you just said, you use something in conjunction with the pelvic floor physical therapy. And you told me in the past, because I know a lot of women, they're on this, they're on the steaming and the yoni. And you said everybody shouldn't do that as well. And as we're leaving out, I do want you to go ahead and let people know when they should not be using that, because I think that's so very important. So I don't want to leave today without you letting everyone know when you should not steam
Gotcha.
and
So
use the
again, it's an
yonis as
amazing
well.
thing to do. I hear a lot of feedback from it, and people are being negative towards it, but it's amazing. Nothing goes inside the vagina, first of all, because here locally, that's what a lot of people want to burn me. No, nothing is inserted vaginally. Okay, it's steam. Okay. All right. So if you are pregnant, do not steam. If you have very short cycles, meaning, well, 2 cycles in 1 month. Sometimes people identify that better because they don't know, to count it. But if you have 2 cycles in a month, meaning the time between the first bleed to the next bleed is short, or you get two of those 1 month, don't steam. Okay. If you're attempting to get pregnant and you're in that window where you're actively trying, don't steam, because we want sometimes steam can bring things down. We want everything sperm to stay inside the vagina. So those are the biggest
Mhm.
ones. Of course, they are. We do use herbs. So if you're allergic to those herbs that we use, do not steam. And there's a length. Don't ever steam over 30 minutes for anybody. And there are some people who shouldn't steam more than 10 minutes. Again, there's an evaluation for that, and to know if you are a 30-minute steamer versus a 10-minute steamer. So it's just everything is a science behind it. I wouldn't tell anyone to just go and steam. Like, just there is, if you have a yeast infection, can you steam? Yes. If you have an active boil or something in an area, can you steam? Yes. Um, so yeah, it just let me complete the evaluation. Certain things just so hard to answer because it's so
Yeah.
individualized. You know what I mean? But again, if you're actively trying to get pregnant, if you are already pregnant, and if you have short cycles, do not steam.
All righty. All right. So that's some good information to know. And I just wanted you to be able to say that because I wanted to make sure that people have the information, because you are always giving good information and you're like, okay, I'm going to make sure you know the proper
Oh
way
yeah,
instead of just the money, right? Because a lot of people's like, oh, everybody should do this here, here, here. But you're like, no, like if
right.
these things are going on, don't do it. So I just wanted you to go ahead and let them know. So again, if you have some questions about that,
That's right.
remember 20-minute consultation. Make sure you set up your consultation and give her a call. And like I said, everything will be down in the description. Make sure you tune in here every week, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we'll be talking about everything mommyhood and business. And today we focused a lot on self-care because it's so important. We sometimes forget to take care of ourselves. And if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your family. You can't run your business. So self-care is very important. So we'll be focusing a lot on self-care for the month of October. And we started with pelvic care because I thought that you needed to know something that you might not have known, because I know I didn't know about it until I met Dr. Latonya Mister. So make sure you tune back in next week, Sunday, and we'll have another self care topic where we'll be talking to moms who are also entrepreneurs about mommyhood, your journey, life, and being
That's
moms,
right.
women, and humans. You don't have to be one, you can be
That's
them
right.
all and at the same damn time. So thank you for listening, and I'll
All
see you
right.
all
Have a good
again
one.
next week.